Hello everyone. This is a tutorial on how to use the export and build features on Botsociety, and we're particularly looking into more advanced conversational patterns such as exporting carousels, quick replies, fallback paths, and more. Here, I'm using the same example that I used in the simple basic intent and slot filling examples, except that over there it was just text, and now I've added carousels. So as you can see, there's carousels for the type of pizza, and then there's also for the size, and then address is the same as before. So pretty much everything is the same. As you can see here, I've mentioned the, as you can see here, there are mixed intents in this design. So before we had one intent for the whole thing. Now, because we're using carousels, we have to divide up the intents and use just different message blocks and different intents. So for example, in the first intent of this design, we have the NLP message, which is I want a pizza. Then this response with what kind of pizza do you want, and the carousel. And then the text that's in the buttons in the carousel acts as a training phrase for the next intent, which is select size. So it would be select margarita, and then the response is like a carousel asking about the size of the pizza, and that's the intent select size. And then the intent select size, once that's fulfilled, and the parameter for pizza size is filled, then the bot continues and says, small one, gotcha, where should I send it? Because the last intent of this conversation is select address. And once this parameter is filled for the select address intent, then the bot gives the final response, which is great, your small margarita pizza is on its way to Boston or San Francisco or something else. So let's see how this works on Dialogflow. By the way, not sure if I mentioned it at the beginning, I am designing for Messenger, but the same logic exists in Google Assistant as well. And as we've explained in our docs, for other platforms, we do export all your message types to the message type text, because Dialogflow, its default channel only supports text and custom message types which need to be coded. If you're interested in that, please reach out, but for now let's continue with the carousel export. So the first or default intent is order pizza, channel device, that's good. And then over here, I created this pizza bot agent to export the carousel to. So let's see if it's working. Great, export completed successfully, no errors. And then I recommend that you have the agent page open in another tab so you can see. So for example, this is the intent and it's currently empty. And look, it says agent training started. So if I click OK, and I can just refresh, you should see. Great. So now you can see the intents here. So we have our first intent, which is order pizza, and then it's the welcome intent for Messenger. Whoops. Yeah. So Facebook welcome. It's the event. That's the event. It plays that role. So it has some training phrases, and then here we see responses for Facebook. Okay, nice. What pizza do you want? And then the cards. So yeah. And then what's important with carousels and conversations with more than one intent is checking out the output context. So over here, it says, okay, so it's input context, it doesn't have any because it's the first one, it's the welcome one. And output context, okay. So let's start, let's go to the other, oops. I didn't save this. Okay, so Facebook welcome, and I'm gonna save this. Let's go to another intent. So next up is select size, and this is, it has the context order pizza, and then select pepperoni. Yeah, those are the training phrases, and see it has the parameter pizza type. And here are the responses, these cards. And yep, so if I continue to select, oh, sorry. Next up is select address. So for this one, the user has to select the address in order to move on. And then these are the responses that are given. So let's try to use this now. And I'm just gonna write, I want a pizza, which is one of the training phrases. So remember here, it shows you the default response by default. So change it to Facebook. And so for Facebook, because that's what we've built for, it says, okay, nice, what pizza do you want? And then let's go classic. User says select margarita, and then add large pizza. Here, if you switch to default, you'll see it. So large one, gotcha. Where should I send it? And San Francisco. And now switch back to Facebook, and it'll say, great, your large margarita pizza will soon get delivered in San Francisco. So that is the end of exporting carousels to Dialogflow. Next up, we're exporting choices. Choices are options that the bot gives the user, also known as quick replies, buttons, chips. Yeah, so basically I've added here, as you can see, it's the same design again, except that the parts that were previously free user input or carousels are now quick replies. So I'm still on using Messenger, and this message type is quick replies. This one is the buttons on Messenger, and I just want to show you that, you know, different message types, as long as they have the choices component, it works the same way. So I've replaced those two message types. Everything else is the same. If I go back to the build mode, you can see everything is still marked up because it has the same text. So basically here as well, the message that is on a button acts as a training phrase for the next intent. So here, these ones, whichever one gets selected, is a training phrase for the intent select size, and then the text on these buttons are a training phrase for the intent select address, and for the address, we left it as a free user input. And yeah, so as I said, this is for Messenger. Google Assistant is almost exactly the same. I'll show you the difference. I think I forgot to highlight that on the carousels video, but here we go. So to export, I've created a new agent on Dialogflow, so a new bot, and it's Pizza Bot Choices. These are all, you know, I have one intent, one device, and we're exporting to Facebook. So let's export to the choices using the official Dialogflow Facebook export map. And the export is completed successfully. So I have the agent open. I'm gonna refresh because, oops. Okay. So here we can see, I'm going to delete the default welcome intent because we already have a welcome intent, which is order pizza. So we'll see it's the same intent. So we have order intent. Here it's the Facebook welcome. Yeah. the Facebook welcome, and done. So also another thing would be, okay, good. So Facebook, and then moving on. So select size, the thing I wanted to show you what's different is if this was Google Assistant, you would go here and pick Google Assistant option. So you see the input context is order pizza because when order pizza finishes, select size starts. We have the training phrases, as I said, which came from these these quick replies. And pizza type, the responses for Facebook, which sides, see it's like a card, just which size would you like with the buttons here. That's how this message type is exported. So we can save that, and I'll just show you select address as well. So yeah, select size is the context. The training phrases come from the text on the buttons in the select size intent, that block. And then we're asking for the parameter address here. And the responses are for Facebook. So to check this out, I'm gonna do the regular I want a pizza. Again, here we're switching to Facebook to see this. So, okay, nice. What kind of pizza do you want? Let's say marinara. What size? Medium. And now it switches to default. So in default, you can see medium one, gotcha. Where should I send it? And if I write San Francisco in the Facebook response, I should get, great, your medium marinara pizza is on its way to San Francisco. So that's it for choices as well. Next up, we're gonna look into generic and dedicated fallback paths.